I came from the fitness industry. I was a personal trainer and then decided, oh, let's be a massage therapist at the same time. And I had a client actually that would train with me 3-4 days a week. And she just said, how are you going to retire on a fitness wage? Like, what happens if you get sick? And I had no idea. The fastest way to get cash and make more money was to do flips. So fast forward to now, I've been full-time real estate ever since. I was pregnant during that time as well. I think I had 2 flips during my pregnancy and one that I was going through while I had my first son.
Hey guys, it's Marcin Drost. Welcome to another M1 member highlight today. I'm excited to have Janci Templeman with me here today. Janci is somebody I met a few years ago for the course of another business venture. It's been really cool to see you kind of grow and develop and do some of the things you're doing. So I'm super excited for you to be here. Janci, maybe take a minute, say hello, introduce yourself.
Hey everybody, my name is Janci Templeman. I live in Regina, Saskatchewan. I've been doing real estate for probably 13 years now, but really full-time in the last 8, all while I was having my kids at home. So I've been primarily doing fixes and flips in Regina, and right now I'm at house number 31, but I also have a combination of single family home, duplex, triplex, and I got my first multifamily just last year. And so there's been lots going on in the last few years of growth in my real estate journey, but that's what I've been doing.
And Janci, I haven't told you this before, but one of the things that really impressed me with you is you have a very high, as I like to call it, a high say-do ratio. So in other words, a lot of people say things like, oh yeah, we should do this, we should do that, we should do this, and then you just forget about it. If you talk to this woman, just so you guys know, and you say you're doing something, you better call her back and be like, hey, bro, like I've done it, or I'm in the process of it, because anything that you've told me about that you were doing, you actually did. And case in point was that apartment building that you're talking about. Remember last summer you were talking about this guy who was trying to close on this thing, and you were thinking about getting involved. And you and I would talk a few times, and you would ask me about little bits and pieces and how to do this, how to frame this. And a lot of people reach out to me for advice or ideas. And a lot of times it's like I'm talking to myself, but you then called me back and you're like, hey, I'm closing on this thing. I was like, of course you are. You said you would, right? So really, really cool. It's a commendable trait. Not everybody has it. And that's just one example. So, but you know what? We'll finish with the apartment building because that's cool. But when you and I first met, you were on, was it house 30 or close to house 30?
Yeah.
And, you're a young mom, a new mom at the time. Maybe take us back a little bit. Like, how did you get started? Why? Was it all you ever did? Did you transition from something else? Like, give us some background.
I came from the fitness industry. I was a personal trainer and then decided, oh, let's be a massage therapist at the same time. So I had really early mornings, noon hours, late night classes, and then my daytime was empty. So I thought, oh, I'll fill it with massage, which was silly because I was trading time for money. And I had a client actually that would train with me 3-4 days a week. And she just said, how are you going to retire on a fitness wage? Like, what happens if you get sick? And I had no idea. I never thought that far ahead. I wasn't in retirement mode. I was just going to start my awesome business and I can work for myself and do cool things. And it was abundantly clear, like, okay, that's cool for a few years, but that's not going to make you retire. So she was doing real estate, and then I just kind of dove in and I thought, oh, I'll just get some rentals and live off the cash flow. That was not going to happen. After the first couple, I was like, okay, the furnace went, the shingles needed to be replaced. So any money that we had took out, we just pretty much had to put back in. So we don't really take anything out of our rentals now. But soon after that, I had some JV partners. They didn't want to work. They didn't want to do anymore. Like we've got 3 or 4. We're done. This is your dream. You want to do this. So the fastest way to get cash and make more money was to do flips. And because we had some equity in some other places, but that we didn't have any more cash to invest. So then that's when we transitioned into flipping, put more focus into that. That's when we met Steph and Arnio and sat us down and pretty much said, look, what you're doing is a hobby as of flipping one house and doing all the work yourself. Let me transition you and teach you how to run this as a business and how to scale it. Said, you want to start a family, right? I'm like, yeah. He's like, how are you going to do this when you have a child at home? And there's no possible way. It was evenings, weekends, any hours that we could possibly put. We went into that house. That was 2015. So fast forward to now, I've been full-time real estate ever since. months. I was pregnant during that time as well. I think I had 2 flips during my pregnancy and one that I was going through while I had my first son. Luckily, I had a general contractor on there that managed everything for me. And so I got really good at managing teams, doing things from home, compressing timelines. So I have an hour before a feeding or a diaper change or a nap. And so I would really focus on, okay, this is all the things that I need to get done, because if I don't, it's not getting done. And with a flip, you want to make sure that you're adhering to your timelines, getting things done on time, materials on site on time. It's going to hold up other guys on site. So I needed to make sure I got those things done. And it just got me hyper focused. Was it easy? No, it was really difficult. It was really challenging. But now looking back and seeing all of the things that I had done, that's a lot of flips. That's a lot of transactions to be full time at home with the kids.
I was gonna say, I mean, flipping one house either on purpose or by accident, for anybody who gets caught in that, you can tell how much it is. If you're talking about a couple dozen of them, what was the story you were telling me about how you had the kids coming with you to Home Depot and picking up paint and all that stuff?
Oh, they do that all the time. There
Yeah.
used to be, like, we would go to Lowe's, they had a greeter that had a dog there, and they knew us all by name, and they would just kind of play with them, and then we would go around all the stuff. And the kids even know what we're looking for. I'm like, hey, we're going to go look at toilets today, or vanities, or lighting, or whatever. And, oh, this one's really nice, mom, or whatever. Even going to the job sites, all the guys on site knew my kids. And it was always, sometimes you think, oh, they should not be touching anything. Like, they loved going to site, and the guys loved having them there too. And it was just a really good team dynamic that I had created with all of my tradesmen. And then they loved being in the videos. Like, if you go through my YouTube channel, you can see a lot of them doing the
Yeah,
walkthroughs.
yeah.
So there's some classic moments of them just pointing out the obvious, like things that happen in the bathroom. And like, I didn't script that. They're just talking, but
They're
been
just,
there. Like,
yeah.
mom fixed this and mom redid this. And it was really
Sure.
cute.
What are some of the, I guess, as you become somebody who's done that volume of transit, and we're talking about millions and millions of dollars in flips effectively, right? So, what are some of the lessons that you didn't expect to learn, if that makes sense, over that period of time? Because I'm sure going into it, you probably thought, oh, I'm going to learn about this, I'm going to learn about that, I'm going to learn how to deal with trades and learn how to do all this stuff. But what were some of the things that you picked up that were totally unintended, let's call it benefits of going through that you now apply today in what you're doing today?
Well, it's funny you say that, because I feel like there's a learning lesson almost on every flip. Like, everyone has been different, and something has happened where I'm learning. This last one, I had to redo an entire concrete slab. I've never had to do that before. So there was a bit of a learning curve. But was I in a position that I could figure it out and do it? Absolutely. I had people that I could call and stuff like that. But other things I think that people overlook, they see the HGTV, they think it's just all the flash and, it's 30 minutes. Well, that could
Yeah,
be over
half an
the
hour
course
to
of
fix the house.
yeah, 6 months, and their numbers are way off. They don't show any holding costs, that sort of thing. But I think what people don't understand too, there's a lot of moving pieces with a flip. There's getting it under contract. So you're having a relationship with those sellers or with the realtors or whatever. Then there's
Right.
raising the capital. There's that part. There's managing your trades. And I do a fair bit of general contracting because there's certain things that I want to control. Then there's the staging of it and the selling of it. Like, there's quite a few moving parts throughout the whole thing, and they're all a different skill set. Am I good at all of them? No, not necessarily. But I think there's some people that are really good at operations and some are really good at capital raising, but you kind of need to be all of them. And when you take all of them into account, I think the biggest thing is relationships and having good communication. That's with everybody. That's with your investors. That's with your tradespeople. A lot of my trades have told me that they love working with me because I actually pay them on time. I will call them every morning just to kind of check in. They think I'm just, wanting to just
Chat
check.
or whatever. Yeah.
But no, I'm checking in with you to make sure that you're going to site today. And if
Mhm.
you're not, why are you not going? And okay,
Right.
if I show up at noon today, you're going to be there. So I
And
think communication.
contractors have this tendency of taking on too many projects, so they're not going to take too many on if they know that you're checking in, right? What's that saying? If the cat's not around, the mice come out to play, right? So if they know that you're checking in, yeah, it's a good strategy. Even if it's just, hey, so when are you on site, all that stuff, right?
Yeah. But I think they definitely respect what I do. They call it the Janci special on my flips. So we're doing a Janci special on this one. Yeah. Okay, cool. Same doors, trim, like that sort of stuff. It's kind of wash, rinse, repeat. And I'll do some
Interesting.
different design elements to it too. But now that we've had such a good relationship, when there's anything with the flips or with the rentals, sorry, or anything else that I need, it's a phone call. And a lot of times they will drop everything and just come and help me. So the furnace goes down at a rental. They're there within a few hours. It's not like
Mm,
they're coming the next day because they know that I'm a good customer and we have a good relationship. They know they're going to get paid
yeah.
and they're going to help me out. And I refer a lot of people to them as well.
So when you look at that whole process, I mean, 30 plus flips now under your belt, is there a part of the transaction that you're like, in a perfect world, if you could only do one piece of the transaction, what would that be in your mind? Is there anything that you like, or do you just enjoy the whole process?
I definitely like getting the deal under contract, like negotiating it for a good price. Like that's almost like a high. Like, yes,
Right,
I got it for exactly what I wanted. I know projection wise, like I'm going to make this much money on it. But I also like the actual renovation process, like the design
got
of
it.
it, going out and picking materials and making it a little bit different. And how can I? It's like a puzzle. So I have this much money, and this is the design of my house. I can't do another layout, so I have to make it work with this budget. You have to work backwards, and there's a lot of strategy and other things that I've done. Like I was going to Value Village to go get a tablecloth and some other fuzzy blankets to reupholster some benches. It cost me $17. Well, I was looking at other leather and stuff like that to recover it, like hundreds of dollars. So it's
Right.
stuff like that I was really good at, being able to make things look expensive when they're actually not. Certain design elements in the bathrooms and in the kitchens and stuff. I have really good relationships with suppliers as well. I was
Right.
with my flooring supplier. I went in there a couple of years ago and they said, I'm like, do you have anything that a builder's brought back that you like 2, 3 boxes of something that you can't use and you can't really sell? They're like, yeah. So they'll bring me to the back. And I'd done that quite a few times over the years. So
Interesting. Yeah.
finally they called me back in and they're like, look, we have this pallet. We can't technically donate it to Habitat for Humanity, but we could sell it to you, but you can't go rummaging through the whole pallet. So they sold it to me for $200. And I got tons of flooring and tile for the next 3, 4 flips for $200. And
Wow.
some of it was like not useful. And I donated it as well. It was thousands of dollars worth of tile for
So
200
what's
bucks.
interesting is that you turned it into a business and you knew that you were going to use that stuff for one of your flips at some point because presumably we haven't talked about it, but presumably you have like a buy box, like an ideal type of asset or type of property that you want to buy, and you already know even without the property what you're going to kind of need on the next thing anyway, and then you can do cool things like that, like literally when you treat it like a business, which is what you've done, you can make those pre-purchases because you know you're going to need it, which is really really cool. I don't know if you transitioned wholly, but you then got into your first apartment building, right?
Yeah.
Walk us through that. How did that happen?
Well, it's funny because you were pretty much just pushing, like you drop hints all the time and say, hey, you should really think about doing this. And I'd never really considered it at this point in my journey. And I thought, well, if someone else believes in me that I can do it, then I will. And it was very funny. It just showed up like within a few weeks of us having that conversation. And so I had to do a little bit of different analysis on this deal, but I knew I could recognize that it was a really good opportunity. Somebody had held the deal up for 9 months already. I probably saw it in about May, and I had all my documents submitted within 3 weeks and into CMHC and everything. So it was definitely a learning curve, and there was some delays. It wasn't just from me, like CMHC across the board was delayed. Ended up closing on it in November. Yeah, it's been fully rented. I think they've evicted one person. The
Mhm.
caretaker stayed, ended up paying. He was living rent free for 15 years, and we got him up to $900, which was for this building. This is pretty good. So the projections that I had that were going to take maybe a year or two, we've already done that within the first 3 to 4 months.
That's really cool. And then as you transition to that, do you see yourself continuing down that path? Or are you thinking to do the homes or both? Or what does the next, call it 6 months to a year look like for you?
I'd be interested in another multifamily because there's one roof, one boiler. We're not dealing with multiple houses. Like I do have single family homes. I do have that stuff. And I property manage all of those myself, which is
Mhm.
also, there's really good long-term tenants in there. So why would I pay somebody to just accept the rents and make a few phone calls if there's repairs? So that's why I still do those. But I would like to invest internationally. I think that's one of my big goals. Flips, if I've gotten referrals for the last 2 years all of these flips have fallen into my lap because people know I can close and that I can get the deals done. I haven't really actively looked very hard for flips. So if another opportunity shows up, like I do look, but I on MLS and stuff, it's pretty rare that you're going to find a deal. Not that they're not there. I've definitely bought stuff on MLS, but I
Yeah.
think transitioning into more larger deals is kind of where I want to put my focus in the next 6
Hmm.
months to a year.
Excellent. And Janci, I know you've got one of your favorite or one of our favorite books over your, I think, right shoulder there, Money People Deals. So, Stefan Arnio, your mentor, an old friend of mine, a friend of ours, essentially, and somebody who's been pivotal in helping you kind of get your start. Do you want to talk a little bit about because you really stepped into as much a mentorship role in the last year, well, probably longer, but formally, as far as you and I have known each other. Maybe talk a little bit about that and how's that been going and how does it feel to see the spark in people's eyes? And, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but
It's something that when I first went through some real estate coaching years ago, over a decade, I thought to myself, there was a lady up on stage and I thought, you know what, that is such a cool job. I would love to be in a position like that where I had these cool stories and these deals that had been done and be doing creative financing and then teaching other people. And I just thought that was so cool. But there was never an opportunity. I didn't know how do you get into that space. So it was quite fitting. Now I've done quite a few transactions and feel like I definitely have a lot of experience, especially being a stay-at-home mom and still running another business and stuff like that as well. There's been a lot of experience. I've not just done flips. I've done wholesales and rent to own and single family. Like I've done lots of it now. And so feeling confident enough to watch other students and guide them along their process, because I know how beneficial my mentors were to me. I still refer to them to this day and remember things that they told me. And it's like, what would this person do? My husband and I would always say, well, what would Stefan do? And we're like, well, he wouldn't do that. Okay, so then no, we're not going to do that. And I would just hope that like students or people in our group refer to me later like, oh, that advice really helped me and really was pivotal in my business success. And I just want to pay it forward to anybody that comes through our program or anybody that's had any sort of connection with Stefan or anything. I want to keep it alive and keep his trainings and his knowledge still at the forefront. And that book is amazing.
It's it's a best-selling book. I think he sold 20 or 25,000 copies of it. Plus it still sells to this day. Look, for those people that are maybe earlier in their path and they haven't potentially invested themselves, whether it's in a book or a training or a mentorship course or whatever it is. And if you think that's expensive, well, try ignorance, try not knowing, try 5 or 10 years of spinning your wheels, or even worse, getting into a deal that you have no business being into. Because, I don't know if I ever told you, Janci, but the first deal I ever did, I thought my real estate agent was my mentor. No, he was my salesperson, and God bless. But I learned very quickly what negative cash flow was on my first deal when I was in my early 20s, and $800 it sucks today because that's what it was negative. $800 like 20 years, that was, man. You had to get a part-time job for that, right? And we turned it around and we flipped it, but man, that was lonely. And then my next step after that property, I think I spent $1,500 to $2,500 on a course. It's 20 years ago. Because just that time was millions of dollars for me. But I'm glad I did, because it got me used to investing in myself. And whether it's investing in better accountants, better coaches, better trainers, better equipment, whatever it is, whatever your game is, ultimately that it's required. Could you be where you are today had you not taken the leap or the plunge 8 years ago?
No, never. No, we would have probably just done every couple years, not me being able to be at home and managing all of the projects, and not just one at a time. I think there was I was holding 4 at one point, was the most I was doing at one time. They were all in different stages. One was coming in, one was coming out, but there's no way, if I wouldn't have invested in myself and learned how to do it as a business, my systems and processes. And over the years, we've refined it as well. So I don't need to spend so many hours doing things anymore. I think I liked getting out of the house with the kids and going to the store because it was like an outing. And now it's like, no, we're looking up stuff on Amazon or Home Depot. I buy it online and the guys just go pick it up on site. Like I don't need to waste my time doing that anymore.
So last question for you. If you were to go back and give yourself advice 8 or 10 years ago, knowing what you know now,
What
would that advice potentially look like?
That just keep going even though when things get tough. I know I like you mentioned at the beginning, when I say something, I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. But there's always kind of pushback and you think, oh, you just doubt yourself, but believe in yourself that you can do it. I know when days get hard, like even with tenants and contractors that don't show up, but if you just take a step back and look, like all of the things that you've accomplished, when I look at myself and the things that I've accomplished, there's a lot of transactions. Like I was having a frustrating moment with this last one and thinking about, my lawyer has done over like 150 transactions with me on the purchase and on the sale. Like that's a lot of transactions. So yeah, when he wants to take me out for lunch, a $20 lunch, $25 lunch, yeah, he owes me. And I was thinking, oh, he knows so much more. And no, like be proud of where I'm at, because sometimes it's hard to do that maybe it's a woman thing or a mom thing, but the advice would be just keep going even when things get hard. Look at the big picture, look at your why, look at your goals, and know that you are on a path that's going to get you there as long as you're going.
Well, I can tell you from the last couple of years that I've gotten to know you, I feel like the weight of your words has become, you've always been knowledgeable and you've always been capable. And as long as I've known you, you've always done what you're going to do. And it's kind of like, I'm doing this anyway. But my point is that the weight of your words is that much more substantial because the actions match your beliefs, and together you're in the right place. And that's one of the main reasons why I like working with you on the mentoring and the coaching side, because you're consistent. There's a consistency there. There's a lot of people online, and we're not going to name names, but their words ring hollow because they don't have the scars on their back, or they haven't put in the time. They haven't had their kids at Home Depot playing with the dog while they're trying to pick the paint color for the third time. Or until you've paid the price in whatever journey you've gone through, those words do ring hollow. And that's the problem with, I guess, social media, and also that's a different podcast altogether. But I'm impressed that you've done it you've done it the real way. You've done the stuff. Then you kind of started talking about it, and then we spent some time. And you're like, okay, I'll talk more about it, and we got you kind of out of that. And now it's like, yeah, I own all this stuff, and you own your identity has evolved from that initial starting point to acknowledging it. And and this isn't recent. This has been for as long as I've known you now. It's just that last piece. And it's really cool because now when you work with coaches, with students, whatever it is, they'll follow you because you've paid the price, and they want to learn how to pay it, but pay as little of it as possible. Hopefully that's the point of education, right? So
thank you. I really appreciate that.
You got
I think when someone else highlights it, like you have thoughts in your head, but when someone else picks it out and recognizes it, it just makes it even, I guess, more special and solidifies that, yeah, like I do know what I'm talking about, and I should be confident in the things that I discuss and teach and mentor on, because I have done it. I've been there. I've done that. And like you said, got the battle scars.
I did, I'll share one last thought with you. I spoke at a conference a while ago and asked everybody in the room who here has been in the real estate business for less than, I think it was 5 years. A bunch of people put their hands up, and I'm like, oh, great. So just so you guys know, these are the easiest 5 years of your life. And people's eyes were like, because I'm like, and they're like, why? And one guy says, why? I go, because you haven't had anything blow up in your face yet. Like things are going to happen no matter how good you are, how prepared you are. I was doing a podcast with Ken McElroy. He runs MC Companies. They have a $2 billion portfolio. Same thing. Like he'll tell anybody who tells you that everything is just, yeah, we figure it out, we don't make mistakes. Delusional. If anything, the more zeros involved, in my experience, the more humility you're going to get from the person sitting on the other side of the table, because they recognize the difficulty in that first zero. Next zero, that thing. So super cool. Janci, so if people want to get in touch, either on the mentorship, coaching, working with you, partnering with you, whatever it is, how do they reach out?
Yeah, you can reach out onto my socials, Janci Templeman on Facebook and on Instagram. You can also reach out to Blackheart U on those platforms as well. If you have any inkling of you wanting to get into real estate, but you don't know how and don't know where to start, just reach out, because I was in your shoes. I know exactly what it feels like, and it feels like shiny object syndrome, and there's so much stuff going on. But I think we mentor are really good fundamentals of getting into real estate. These are all the things that you're going to need to know. Is it going to be the be all end all of your real estate journey? No, this is the start, and we're going to get you going. So if you have any interest, please reach out.
Yeah. And take it from me, a guy who bought his first property without mentorship, $800 a month cash flow sucks. So get the mentorship, spend the money, take the time, but more importantly, do it with the people that you can see yourself emulating, people you can become like. I heard it put another way: if somebody that's telling you what to do doesn't have or isn't where you want to be, don't listen to them.
Right.
So if someone's doing what you want to be doing and they're already there and they're a few steps ahead, those are the right people to pay attention to. Awesome. Janci, thank you for your time. We're going to have this shared on all the platforms, and I look forward to talking to you again.
Yeah. Thank you so much.